is ready. Ready on the right, ready on the left.
Bienvenidos. Estamos en el episodio de La Ancla, número 33. ¿Cómo estás?
Muy bien. ¿Y usted? Buenos días.
Buenos días. Oh, perdón, este no es Univision, ¿verdad?
Híjole.
Oh, it's el Saved Rounds. Sorry, guys. We thought we were on Telemundo. No. There we go. What kind of pastor is this?
I don't know, man.
All right. So, we were kind of messing around before. You speak another language too, yeah?
Yeah, Spanish. Spanish is my first language.
And then, what else?
Very little French. Very little. That's about it.
Give us an intro in French.
Oh, I can't give the intro, but I can say bonjour, je m'appelle David Ojeda. That's about it. It's little bits and pieces of French.
Earlier you were all like...
Yeah, but you can't put me on the spot.
You were like, je crois le croissant en cœur.
Yeah, I'm just saying random words that I know in French. Making it sound as authentic as possible.
Woo! Guys, I'm running on a lot of caffeine. I was up at 6 a.m. Getting ready to film this. And then I've had a London fog. And now Joseph was kind enough to give us a chai latte. So we're all hopped up, not on Mountain Dew. All right. So today's guest is David Ojeda. And we're going to talk a little bit about David. Now, David... Rattle. All right. Wow, that caffeine is really kicking. Maria's gonna have a good one with this one. Okay, in all seriousness now.
If you can manage.
Let's be serious. I don't think I can. Not this morning. Woo! Joe's already staring at us with problems. Okay, so first, David, you shared your testimony.
Yeah.
On a Friday night.
Yeah.
And you've taught before, Thinker.
Yeah.
How did you like it teaching or sharing your testimony on Friday night? Because you never really shared your testimony. You've taught from the Bible, but not your testimony. How did you like that?
Well, it was good because, I mean, like, for the most part, this is where I kind of grew in the Lord. So most of the people who've been coming here regularly already kind of know my story, but it's putting it out there in the sense of, for those who don't know me, going online and sharing that it's something where people were like, well, I didn't know that that's where you came from or that was your background. So it was something new and something different.
Very good.
So,
oh, my iPad.
No pues.
Sorry, guys.
But it was good. I think it went well, you know.
Okay, good. Sorry, guys. I think David and I, we goof around, like me and Sean and Henry. And so Joseph just has to deal with us at this point. If you guys don't know Joseph, our producer, he's very somber.
And super spiritual.
Thank you. I was going to say that, but thank you. Yes, super spiritual. He's like, I am a holy man. So.
First the dead and Christ will rise, then Joseph, and then all of us.
Oh, man. Where'd you get that? First Opinions 1?
Yes.
Oh, awesome. Okay. So, how long have you been at The Anchor?
For the past 6 years now, back in 2020.
2020. And how old were you when you first showed up?
I was 18.
But you weren't following Christ at the time?
No, I wasn't following the Lord. Matter of fact, the only reason I actually came to a church here being The Anchor was because I was into Aurelis, your daughter.
Yes, that's true.
So, I joked around when I told my testimony. It's cool how the Lord had to get a hold of me. And in all his wisdom, he knew that the only way for me to turn to Christ would be through a girl. Because nothing else would have turned me to the Lord regardless. I mean, at least I don't know of, but it's in that.
Well, I've always felt that Aurelis had a call to be a missionary. I just didn't realize she was missionary dating.
Well, you know, it happens.
So anyway. So now, so you've been here 6 years.
Yeah.
You helped teach a couple times. This is your first time telling your testimony. So let's talk about your testimony a little bit.
Okay.
For the audience listening today, for the on YouTube and the other social medias who don't exactly tune into Friday nights, but they're more watching the episodes of Saved Rounds, go ahead and share a little bit to the audience about what is your testimony and how you came to follow Jesus.
Okay. Well, to start off, I mean, I was born here in Oceanside in 2002. I got two older siblings. My brother Abraham is 37. My sister Melissa is 35. And from the age difference from my sister to me is 11 years. So I turned out to be the surprise, happy little accident that came about in my parents' marriage. So from that, that's kind of where I kind of grew up at. You know, my family, I do come from a divorced family. My parents separated when I was around 7, around that time frame. I can't really remember. I ended up moving with my mom. And because of that whole incident, I grew up to be very bitter towards my mom because of the whole incident that had transpired. Because I would see families that were still together, but yet separated. We were separated. And so I'd always have that within me saying, why are we separate and yet these families are all together? So I always grew up with that. Fast forward till I was growing up in my teens, you know, I was in high school, and one of the things that I always struggled with loneliness. And again, we don't come from a background where we were incredibly religious. We didn't subscribe to a particular belief system, but we had that foundation that Jesus is God. You know, we pray to God, kind of like that Catholic Seventh-day Adventist background. In that, I had a foundation, but I did not subscribe to the idea of it. I wouldn't say I was agnostic, but I would say more atheist in the sense of I thought that I was in control of my own life. So come around the tail end of high school, senior year in 2020, that's when the whole COVID thing happened and everything shut down. So I still became very lonely and still had those feelings of loneliness. But I do remember every night while I was, before I would go to bed, I would pray. And it would be a systematic prayer because I didn't believe in God, mind you, all right? So I would start off by praying to a God. Again, I'd be like, God, I don't know who you are, what you are, but this is what I would pray and ask for the things. Then I would immediately switch, all right, Jesus, now I'm going to pray to you. Da-da-da-da-da-da. And then to finish it off, I'd pray to the universe because I didn't know, nor did I subscribe to a thing. My mindset was more geared towards, I don't know, and I can't be for sure, but I'm just going to check all the boxes just to make sure I'm good. So that's kind of where I come from on that. Little did I know that the Lord still was working in my life. I mean, he was working throughout my whole life, even when I wasn't a believer. And what he did was he saw that my heart was searching and he made himself known, which reminds me of the scripture, as if you seek me, you shall find me. So ultimately, yes, I was seeking, but I wasn't seeking Jesus. But I was seeking Jesus unknowingly, but not really seeking Jesus. I wasn't seeking, so to say, a particular religion or anything like that. So come around the tail end of 2020 in August, or I think in June, that's when I had met Aurelis. And of course I was into her and whatnot, but she had told me, saying you should come to church. And that was something foreign to me, but I was like, all right, cool. But I was going for the wrong reasons, of course. So I started coming here. I had met you. I met Jamie. And that kind of sparked something in my mind. I was like, okay, well, this is something that I could get used to going to church. Like in my mind, it was just that, just checking a box. As I kept coming here and as I kept growing and being fed the word, I had to make the quality decision for myself to say, okay, well, this isn't just a belief system to make people feel comfortable. This is something that truly I can see people's lives have been changed because of God. So I made the quality decision to follow Christ. Now, I can't say exactly when, but I can say it was towards the tail end of 2020. Because I can guarantee you I prayed that prayer over 100 times because I didn't know when exactly. Right. It stuck, so to say.
Okay. So here you are following the Lord. And yeah, I remember you came to my house. You wanted to date my daughter. And I was like, who's this dude? And the way, the funny for you guys to know, this is funny because I have a busy schedule sometimes. And we were having a Tuesday night Bible study that we used to hold in Bonzo, and I was coming back from it. I was tired. And there's a relic with this dude at the table, and they need to talk to me. And I'm like, what is going on here? So in the end, you know, the Lord used the relic to bring it to the Lord. And obviously it didn't work out.
Yeah.
So.
Well, in that, like when we ended up separating, I mentioned this when I was telling my testimony. It was, I had let sin back into my life in the sense of there are certain aspects of my old life that started creeping into the new life Jesus had given me. So obviously I became more bitter. I became, these aspects started coming back: bitterness, frustration, anger, and all that type of stuff. And it started to seep in. And one thing that I talked about is that, for one, God doesn't compete for the throne of your heart. He tears down whatever's there. So it was no longer him sitting at the throne of my heart. It was other things, whether it be my own life, the relationship. And the Lord knew that. The Lord saw that, and he tore it down. And exactly what he did. So whenever that relationship ended, that very day, I was very torn. I was incredibly torn. But I know that the Lord spoke to me that day through scripture. And I know it was Lord because, again, this was the first time I was going through the Bible, my first time reading it. And I wasn't really grasping things in the Old Testament. And it was something out of Jeremiah. I can't remember the verse off the top of my head, but it's whenever he goes to the potter's house. The Lord tells him to go to the potter's house. And he's talking to Jeremiah, and he sees the potter making a vessel, but it becomes marred in the potter's hand. It becomes marred, so he tears it down, and he builds something new out of it. And the Lord spoke to me saying, you became marred in my hands, but yet I'm tearing you down to rebuild you up to be how I want you to be. And I talked about this, saying that while reading that again, the vessel became marred in the hands of the potter. So it wasn't that it became marred on its own. It was well within the grasp of the Lord when he had to tear me down. So it was that where it hit me. I was like, okay. And then I had to make the decision again. Do I want to continue following the Lord, or am I just going to throw it to the side? But I had that feeling in my heart saying, don't leave. And it was the Holy Spirit saying, I'm not done with you. I'm not done with you. Yeah. Don't leave.
Very good. Very, very good. So now you've been here at the Anchor 6 years. What exactly do you do at the Anchor?
So I volunteer in any aspect that I'm required. I was part of the first group of Joshua's that came by with Joseph, Sean, Dennis, and basically in any capacity.
Fabian.
Oh yeah, Fabian too. My bad.
Sean.
And yeah, I already said Sean. Sean only gets one time.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I help in any capacity, whether it be teaching on a Friday or on a Sunday, or helping in the kitchen,
okay.
Maintenance as well, helping on a Saturday, run a Saturday if need be, kind of stuff like that. Anything where I can fill in gaps.
Okay. Now that Sunday has, we've had a few Sundays. I think I want to say 2 or 3. I think it's 2. It's going to be 3 possibly. It feels like everything's just flowing, man. January flowing by and everything. And now that January's done and it went by fast. So how do you feel about Sunday? How do you feel it's going?
I think it's going good. The fact that it's something new. I mean, we did have the Sunday evening, and that dynamic is completely different than how it's going than at least what I can see now. It's different ambient, different people, and it seems like it's flowing more smoothly compared to how it was before.
Yeah.
Obviously, the first time going about in the evenings was obviously rough, of course.
Yeah. Little did I know too. I talked to a fellow pastor up in Orange County, and he told me Sunday evenings always have a hard time.
Yeah.
Yeah. They always do.
But Sunday mornings, I'm telling you, it's going good. The fact we're going through Genesis, I'll be honest, when you said we're going through Genesis again, I was like, again. Because, what was it, 4 years in Genesis on Fridays?
4.5 years, because it was in depth.
Right.
Every time recovering one verse.
Yeah, because I remember when I first started coming here to the Anchor, I came in on chapter 17 when you were teaching on Fridays. So that was, so it was
3 years later.
Basically, yeah. But Sundays is good. It's good seeing people that help out, new people as well. People who normally come on Fridays to get fed are now helping on Sundays.
Yep.
And those who help on Fridays are now getting fed on Sundays.
Yep. And they can chill.
Yeah.
Yep.
And of course, helping wherever spots need to be filled. But honestly, I think it's going good.
Yep. And we're moving faster.
True.
A lot faster. Sometimes we're getting one chapter done in a whole sitting.
Right.
Which is going to make it go fast. So if we keep up the pace we're doing for Genesis, I think we'll be done with Genesis in
20 years.
No. I want to say a year. I mean, it's 50 chapters. If we do a chapter a Sunday,
Yeah, that's if we do a chapter of Sunday.
That's pretty much where we're at. Chapter of Sunday right now.
Are we?
Yeah, the intro was long,
Oh,
so we
yeah.
did that. We finished that chapter, and then chapter 2 is one sitting,
Mm-hmm.
and then chapter 3 is coming up, so we'll see how that goes. Plus, the fact that, you got to factor, like, travel. So, like, this week, I'm going to Colorado.
Right.
Me and Jim are going to Colorado, share my testimony, and just share it at a marriage conference. So that's a blessing. So then you got to factor who's filling in from there,
Right.
and they're going to be on a different subject. So our goal for Sunday, as you know, is cover to cover. So we're doing this, getting it through, and we'll keep going. All right, so let's go back to some of these questions here. So you're at the Anchor, you've been helping, you're doing a lot of different things. What is it you like most about the ministry?
It's interesting because, okay, so my first introduction to church on my own terms was coming to Friday. So in my mind, that was it. Church was on Friday. So when people would ask, oh, well, why do you only go to church on Fridays? You're one of those like weird people that go to church on a different day. And I was like, yeah, and what? I'm kidding. So what I like about it is the fact that
Did Fabian tell you that?
no.
Okay.
No. I mean, I had people telling me I was in a cult because I was coming on a Friday, but that's neither here nor there. I mean, we had people telling you that you had the devil's beard. So
Who's your mother, bro?
it was my mother. But again, being Hispanic, you pay loteria, and on the card it has the devil with the long
You guys
beard.
know where, when I met David's mom, when he was dating Relis, she was all polite. Sí, que no, que sí. And then as she drove away, she's like, mijo, ese hombre tiene el barba del diablo.
It's like, ese hombre tiene la barba del diablo.
That man has the devil's goatee. I didn't know the devil had a goatee.
I guess in loteria we do.
Loteria. Nice. Anyway. Okay, so your Friday, people are telling you it's kind of weird.
Yeah.
People weirded out by your mom's weirded out by my goatee. I should have done the whole thing, be like, hey, what's up? Your son's at the Anchor with us. Hired,
But
he's the Escondido Cholo coming down.
but what I like about the ministry is the mere fact that there are people that came from rough backgrounds that and I like to think of what's the name Ron, his rough background, and I know people who were in that background before who now are like Ron, worshiping the Lord. Like their demeanor has changed, and it's like you're the real deal. You came from a rough background, and yet you're here worshiping the Lord, where it's different. Like it's bamboozling to someone on the outside, or like, well, I knew your background, and you're all like this. To me, that's what I like to see, the genuineness in people's faith, how they came from these backgrounds, but yet the Lord has got a hold of them in such a way that their whole personality has changed, still retaining some of their personality, but using that in worship of the Lord.
Yeah, that people are blown away that such a radical change has happened.
So it's cool to see that, and I think that's one of the blessings that I like seeing in the ministry is people come by with that, and it's like, man, like if that isn't proof that God's real, then what is?
Right. Yeah. Praise the Lord. What do you feel is the hardest part about doing ministry?
I'm kidding. No.
Wow.
Definitely the attacks that the enemy throws your way, being in your mind too much, thinking you're not amounting too much, or thinking, for example, me being as young as I am in the ministry, saying 23.
23, huh?
Yeah, 23 going on 24 this year.
All right, ladies. We've got a 23-year-old here who loves Jesus single. He loves Jesus more than you.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Go ahead. Oh my gosh.
Well, rough things in the ministry, it's getting in my mind too much. Thinking, well, I'm too young to be in the ministry. I have no military background, so what am I doing in the military ministry? So it's these things that's easy for me to get in my own mind. And like I was talking about last Friday with my testimony, it was Jeremiah 1:5, where the Lord calls Jeremiah and says, "Before in the womb, before when I formed you, I knew you. Before you were born, I had ordained you." And this ordination came from the Lord to a nation, the kingdom of Judah, before the fall of Babylon. So when it comes to me, it is the Lord calling me to a work that I may not be used to or may not be what I expected, to a people that I don't know, to a people that I have no connection with, but yet here I am. So it's obstacles like that. Like, how can I relate to the military? I can't relate to the military. I can only relate to things I've been through in my life. So I think those are aspects that I still struggle with in the ministry, is relating towards a people group that I can't relate to.
Yeah. And that's the missionary mindset.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. And I've always felt the military is one of the last missionaries to reach. And here, you're one of the people who are civilians, so like have not served, who are like reaching these groups. And yet it shows you can adapt to any group and reach them.
Yeah.
This would be no different than, for those who are listening, just to encourage, this is no different if like you feel called to the homeless ministry. You can be like, well, I was never homeless.
Right.
You know, or you get called as a missionary to a country. You're like, well, I didn't grow up in this country.
Right.
You know, so that's the thing. It's the missionary mindset. And yeah, the enemy bombarding is a pain in the booty.
Yeah. It sucks.
He's a punk.
Yeah.
The devil's a punk.
He is.
Yep. This is why POD has a song called Snuff the Punk. It's all about taking out the devil. So, so you're doing well. You're helping. Where do you feel that the Lord is calling you now? Like as far as the anchor, what to do in the anchor?
Well, recently it's been more. A push in my heart is apologetics, and the reason why I say that is because in this day and age, there are people who are arguing. The biggest thing that people argue is who's right or who's wrong, right? It can be on different topics, secular topics. It can be on the topics of religion, who's right, who's wrong. And what I see or notice that there's a lack of is actual answers in regards to the questions that are being asked. And the answers that are sometimes given are very shallow in the sense that it doesn't answer the question. So one of the things I have been studying more or kind of focusing more is apologetics, you know, in regards to different religions, different topics, whether it be abortion, the religions, giving a biblical answer to these topics that sometimes everyday Christians can't give an answer to.
Which one are you studying now?
Oh, I can't say I'm telling, not that I'm studying something in particular, but it's kind of like on the whole broader spectrum.
Okay.
You know, the most popular one right now is abortion, because one of the biggest things going on in the United States is whether it's women's health, or you want to look at it in that secular aspect. But when you really peel down and go into a biblical aspect, who is the one who forms you in the womb? It's the Lord. So it is a living being that is in the womb that the Lord has given life. And like I said in Jeremiah 1:5, the Lord called Jeremiah in the womb. Before he was born, he was already known by the Lord. So there's already something there that people don't grasp nowadays.
Correct.
So it's stuff like that. And it's something that I see that there's a need. And I love the fact that I see, you know, people my age and my generation that are getting more into that, because it shows people are actually doing the research and looking into it rather than just hearing someone else say it and then run with that.
Well, I think that's one thing that you've always had, where you always want to look into it and you're always curious about stuff, and you never had you were like a Berean. You never had the like, well, he just said it. Yeah, let me look into it. So sounds like things are going well. You're obviously here for a season.
Yeah.
I think there's some bigger things coming your way that we've talked about, and when we cross those bridges, we'll get there.
Right.
You know, I'm glad you're here, and you started young. You were 17, 18 when you got here? 18, and now you're 23, and you know. So let me segue into one question here, since I have you on the show, that I've always been curious about. So since you're that you right now are the age group that would be like helping the youth group.
Yeah.
Like those seniors in high school, those juniors in high school. And then even the young men and women heading off to the military now, or college or whatnot. What do you think is the best way to reach that generation?
Number one, I would off the bat say people here in the United States, they know about Jesus, they know about Christianity. But one of the things that is very lacking in churches and in people's lives is the walking example of Christ in Christians. Not to say that people aren't walking the way they should be, but we tune into Christian media, or if you watch Christian television or you see on YouTube, the attention that Christianity gets are these mega church pastors that are fleecing the flock, that are, abusing and making a mockery of Christianity. And those are the ones that are getting the attention. So when people look and they see that, especially my generation who has, not the greatest attention span, but when they see these shorts, they say, that's what it is. That's a joke. So true genuineness in your walk is something that people will notice. As a saying, show me you're a Christian, or tell me you're a Christian without telling me you're a Christian. And it's your walk, and it's your walk with the Lord. And one of the things that I think that my generation struggled with, because again, with all the divorces and people coming from broken families, is we lack structure. Hence why there is a rise on people, becoming Orthodox, becoming Catholic, because there is structurization.
So they want structure.
They want structure, and it's something they lack. And I don't know, you've talked to more Marines, people join the Marine Corps because there is that structure.
Correct.
Compared to there's nothing at home because brokenness.
Yeah, it's true. They do want structure. I think every generation does to a degree, but you're actually correct. Now, are you considered Gen Z?
Yeah,
Your
I think so.
Okay.
I have the Gen Z, but I have the mentality of a millennial. Again,
Okay.
I grew up with my siblings are all older, so I grew up with them.
So you can't speak that Gen Z?
I refuse to.
You refuse to?
Horrible.
So you can't translate the gospel into Gen Z language? Like Judas was sus?
No.
No cap?
No. I think that's cringy. I mean, hey, there's people who can do it. I see them online, and more power to you. But I mean, that's not how I'm geared.
No, neither am I, dude. They have a whole dialect. It's interesting. So,
but it's cool though. The fact that I do see that they're 20-year-olds, young adults who are going out and evangelizing. I see them on Instagram. I see them on YouTube. And it gives me encouragement because it's like, okay, there's others who are my age who are still actively fighting for the gospel and sharing the gospel. Going out to places where, people don't want to hear the gospel or aren't expecting to hear the gospel, and they're coming to know Jesus.
okay, so let me ask you this. That's a good point. Why do you think your age group, let's say your age group is, shall we say 22 to 25 or 20 to 25?
I'm 2025.
20 to 25.
Yeah.
So why do you feel that your age group, no, because 25-year-olds right now are born in 99. So I don't know if they fall into that category. It's got to be like 2001 and above.
Yeah, around 2001 and above.
Yeah,
So yeah,
so we're looking at maybe you're born in 01, yeah? 02. So we're looking at from 24 to 20.
Yeah.
20 to 24, age 20 to 24. So let's two questions this. Why do you think in that age group from ages 20 to 24, they're having a harder time getting involved in the ministry? And the second part of this question is, I've been hearing a lot about nobody wants to go to the mission fields anymore. And why is it that age group doesn't see the need for missions, even short-term missions?
that's a good question. In regards to the first question, reiterate the first question.
The first
again?
question is, why don't they want to get involved in the ministry?
Speaking out of personal, in a personal aspect, it's struggling with I want to do me and what I want to do in contrary to what the Lord wants to do. So sometimes it's a case where, well, I don't think I'm called to that, or I don't know if that's for me. So I'm withhold myself from doing ministry. Sometimes it's the cases where they don't know it's available, that you can even help in that aspect. In regards to the mission field, I don't know as in to why, but I can say, at least from what I've seen, there a lot of kids in my age group or young adults in my age group who are believers, they do have a heart, but it's almost like either fear or confusion that withholds them and restrains them from actually stepping in.
Fear and confusion.
Yeah.
Okay, it's a good one. How big is fear in that generation? Anxiety, fear, all that.
Anxiety and fear is a big part because, you know, that's the tune of the age, anxiety and fear. Fear of the unknown, anxiety, what's going to happen, and the uncertainty. Because, I mean, we live in a fast-changing world where things can be one way one day and the next day things change. So it's that constant changing. And I think, at least for myself, at least, I have trouble to adapt to change very quickly. You know this. You know, change happens and I'm freaking out because it's hard for me to adapt. And I see a pattern of that with, you know, friends that I hang out with, that when change happens like that, it sets our flight or fight instinct. So it could be that. But it's hard. I don't know.
Okay. Yeah, because I noticed that every generation has something.
Yeah.
And the generations before them are always like, girls are weak and soft and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
I mean, I was told that when I joined the Marine Corps. These guys that served in Vietnam were like, you guys are like the Boy Scouts now. And then, Iraq War and Afghan War kicked off. And, you know, I don't know. Each generation has something about it, and it's about encouraging them. I think something you said about the structure is big, and it could be why they struggle with fear and anxiety, because they have no structure. They don't know what's coming.
Right. And
the structure helps with the routine and everything.
Right. And it helps you process things because, again, one of the things is we struggle with hurt at home because we bottle them in, or we share it with friends, and that's kind of our outlet to kind of de-stress ourselves, is, you know, talking with friends about it. But it's that very thing of anxiety, fear, thinking you have to have it all figured out by a certain age, or you think you have all this liberty to do whatever you want, and it brings confusion.
Do you feel that your generation and the generation behind you, meaning the seniors and juniors in high school, they're the technology generation? I feel like they're born with iPads in their hands.
Yeah, I mean, growing in the generation with, you know, technology, it's there. I will say that the impact that technology has had has shortened our attention span tremendously. You know, with the invention of YouTube Shorts, Instagram Shorts, our attention span is 30 seconds to 60 seconds max. So, and I'm speaking purely off of my own experiences.
So how do you encourage someone in that generation to endure through a Bible study, endure through a well done Bible teaching that's going to take an hour, or even a movies?
Right.
I mean, it seems like the movies are fine. I mean, I see this footage of these guys going to see the Marvel movies, and, and they're going wild and crazy in there.
Yeah.
And, you know,
well, when it comes to the studies, there's an aspect where the Lord is speaking to them and it's grasping their attention. Because when it comes to solid doctrine being poured out, the Holy Spirit is talking to them, so it's grabbing their attention. It's teaching them to slow down. And that's one of the things that's helped me, listening to teachings, because it slows me down. And constantly the Lord is talking to you, so your attention is grasped, is being held.
Do you think that there's something missing in hanging out like this, like because I know your generation, because Ian, who was my son, who was before you a little bit, it's that video game generation. All the friends are online, they all hang out, they all meet there. And I remember years ago there were commercials for video game systems about everybody meeting in the virtual world. But do you think there's something missed in this kind of interaction, or just going out to eat or hanging out, getting coffee, or?
Yeah, no, 100%. Because, I mean, going back to my own experience, you know, being a part of that age group, I played a lot of video games when I was in high school. So during the pandemic, when they hit, it was only talking through video calls, through Discord, or kind of like stuff like that, playing video games. So there was that sense of you were still talking to people, you know, these people who basically became your family, your brothers and sisters. But there was always something missing, and it was that physical the physical aspect. Because you can hear someone's voice and you can hear, but you don't see their emotion, you don't see their facial expressions, you don't see the physical.
Well, you said that's right. And so then how many of the young generation are not having that physical contact?
Oh, I would say a lot. And especially, I mean, we go to schools nowadays, we got kindergartens that have iPhones. I mean, I remember when I was in kindergarten, I had with that little Beetle phone that had 4 buttons. You know, one for my mom, dad, brother, sister, and the 911 if you press it 3 times.
I mean, I get that. I understand that. You know, but these days, man, they run around with. I mean, even where my wife works, kids will have an iPad for work.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember going to college and you had like your homework was put through the computer. You had your iPad, everything. And then as my kids were coming up, I remember my kids being in high school and everything's on an iPad and all the homework's on iPad. I was like, man, this is like college. Like they're like submitting homework like it's college.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the high school that your kids went to, they was more of the advanced iPad because when I went to Stamp School, so it was still papers and stuff like that. Like we didn't have iPads. We had the old Chromebooks that turned on 50% of the time. That had chips, cracks.
My kids went to Delago Academy. No, it's not a private school. No, we didn't pay for it. It was by lottery.
Bougie fufu school.
Bougie fufu school. It was basically according to David, it was a bougie public school. It was basically, for you guys don't know, Delago Academy was an experiment to see if they were to make high school experience more like a college experience. Mm-hmm. Because I remember their senior year, and I don't know if it's like this for all seniors.
Yeah.
Because it's been a while since I was a senior in high school. And when I was in high school, I was in Honduras going to high school, so it's way different.
Honduras.
They could leave to go get lunch and come back off campus. They had like late arrival, like you would in college. I don't know if you had that experience in high school.
We couldn't leave school, but my senior year, at least I was able to drop 3 classes, so I only came to school for like 4 hours because I had finished all my classes early. And that was my second semester of high school. But like we had block periods. I don't know if you guys had that.
No. When I went to school in Honduras, it was an American school called EXA, which was connected to an American school in Ohio. So when you look at my high school degree, like when I joined the Marine Corps, it looked like I went to high school in Ohio. But it was called the LECA PACE system, and basically you had to get an 80 or above, kind of like how my son's school was, to pass the tests. You would work at a certain pace, but you could go faster. So I did 2 grades in 1 year, and a friend of mine, he did 3 grades in 1 year.
Oh wow!
Yeah, and so you could graduate early. So he graduated 2 years early from high school. It worked really well. The school was designed for people who had money in Honduras, or for the Americans that were living there, missionary kids, or kids whose parents worked for the Coca-Cola company down there. You know, because the Coca-Cola company was massive. Down there. But mind you, we're talking the late 90s. You know, so mid to late 90s. That kind of just urged myself. But okay, so we reach your generation. They want the real deal. They want structure. They want to see you're genuine. I think that's every generation wants to see you're genuine. Yeah. I think every generation has gone through a thing where, you know, they're like, that person's not what they appear. And each language time frame of slang changes it. So if you rewind the clock to the hippies, I forget what the hippies would use for somebody who wasn't the real deal. You know, and then you get forward to the 80s and 90s, you have like their whack, you know, their poser, which apparently, I don't know if hopefully that's not a bad thing. Or now this generation uses sus. So yeah, it's reaching each generation different, and the terminologies of stuff from, you know, each generation using terminologies for things they think is really cool, from like that's cool, that's awesome, to you know, back in the day, gnarly, rad, all that stuff. Even when I lived in Central America, it was the same thing too. In each country, we would notice I would go back and forth from El Salvador to Honduras, and sometimes in Guatemala, or in Mexico too. And each one would use a different word for cool. I can't remember what Mexico always used.
Chido.
Chido?
Is that chido?
And Honduras, we'd always say, que macizo.
Oh, we use that
que
too.
Macizo. And then El Salvador would be like, que chévere. The first time I was like, que chévere. I'm like, que chévere. I'm like, so they would be like, so every generation has that. They want the real deal. They want to be reached. It gets a little harder reaching them. I think the reality is too, before we wrap this up, the reality is too. So, when I started here at the Anchor, I'm in my 30s when I'm starting here. Joseph's in his 20s, so we're reaching Joseph's generation. We're reaching Stephanie's generation because they were all in their 20s.
Yeah.
Erica, Joseph, Stephanie, Katie, Brandon, Israel, all these guys, Chris, were in their 20s. And then we're in our 30s reaching them, and then they're the group trying to reach the younger. Here you are in your 20s.
Right.
But now I'm in my 40s. And so now it's like Joseph is the one reaching you guys.
Right.
To a degree, but then you're the one who's like Joseph and them are doing, bringing them all in. And that pattern can't stop no matter if it's here at the Anchor or at a different church, whether it's here in California, Hawaii, Alaska, somewhere in the United States. I can't speak for other countries.
Mm-hmm.
I can't speak for how other countries are. Maybe England, maybe Europe, some of Europe that way, but Europe's got its own problems. And, but like what we're describing right now, it doesn't work in some areas of Central America. It doesn't work in some areas of Africa, because the other thing too, you got to factor, ladies and gentlemen, is a young man like David, who's 23, in most African countries, even sometimes in most Central American countries and South American countries, they're already married. They've already had 2 kids. And that's the difference between, I think, my generation to your generation. I've noticed that they don't have as many kids. So I had, right away, we had kids. Me and Jamie, we got married at 18. By the time I'm in the Marine Corps and I'm like 21, I have 2 kids.
Right.
Okay. And I notice your generation's not having kids.
Well, no, because it's the whole commitment, you know.
But I think that's it. It's the commitment thing.
Yeah.
That's why they're struggling to get involved in stuff, because it's like, oh, I have to commit and then I have to do this. And they got to find the joy in it. 2, I've noticed that the generation that's Joseph's generation, Stephanie and Erica and all them, they don't have that many kids either. It's gone down. Now, the exception to the rule is our friend Brandon, who is 10 years younger than me, and that dude's got 7 kids. All right? So maybe the electronics just need to be put away.
Maybe. Or they're good at multiplication.
Oh, whatever. So, but yes, I seen that more and more. So there's a lot to it. I'd be curious to see what happens in the coming years, and if the Lord tarries, I pray for the rapture to happen soon. But if the Lord tarries, that we'll see what happens as the generations come up, because it's so crazy. When I think about my life, at times it feels like, oh yeah, like last week I was in the Marine Corps and I was this old, and then I look, I'm like, dude, it's been years.
Yeah.
Even Danny Stranahan, he was a friend that was in the Marine Corps. He retired as a gunnery sergeant, and then he went out to the Army. And we were just talking about like being at Wounded Warriors, and we first met, and having that conversation about Jesus at the barracks, and how I was, when I was in the Marine Corps, he was in the Marine Corps. And in my mind, we're having this conversation. I'm like, oh yeah, like this was a few years ago. Like I'm thinking like 4 years. It's like feels like that. And Danny goes, dude, it was over 15 years ago we had that conversation. I was like, has it been that long? So time goes by.
Yeah.
It's just insane what happens. So, but I appreciate you being on the show.
Yeah.
You bring some good insight. I think it's really cool what the Lord's doing in your life. I'm curious to see what he's going to bring. Personally, here's what I think, ladies and gentlemen. Me personally, this is what I think that is going to happen to David. And I think David slightly disagrees, but that's okay. And it could be that whole generation thing of what you're talking about.
Yeah.
But I definitely see a calling for you to be a pastor. And I think you doing the evangelism and apologetics and teaching as a pastor, I definitely see that in you. I definitely see a calling to be a board member and eventually getting on the board and helping long term. But again, the Lord's going to do it. We'll see what happens.
Right.
But I think that's where it's going to head to. Me and David had these conversations before, and he's like, I don't know. And then we get Joseph that just goes like this. So if you're watching, Joseph goes, David. And then you're like, what?
Man, I hate that. Look at me like, David. I was like, man,
Hey, at least it's not like Office Space where he's like, David, yeah, I'm gonna need you to be on the board on Monday. Yeah, thanks. Just slurp. So,
but it's a trip, being here at the Anchor, being a believer. As you know, I would say I always joke around and say I feel old because I just have that old soul within me.
Dude, Maria thought you were in your 30s.
Yeah, she thought I was 32, and I was like,
"You're younger than her."
Yeah,
I know, it's crazy.
But one of the things that I do see nowadays, and it's an encouragement that I want to give to everyone, is there are people out here who are hurting. You don't know their story, you may not know what they're going through, but they're hurting in some way, shape, or form. They're hurting. So us as believers, we know the answer, but sometimes they need to be walked through it. And it's as simple as talking with them, spending a day with them, hanging out, becoming their friend, and then letting them see Jesus in you. And I think that's one of the things that will reach this generation is the genuineness of our faith will show fruit, and they will want to know and understand, why do you have something they don't have? And I mean, you can attest for that. You've been around longer than I have in regards to being in the Lord. So people who
do you
are
think I am, bro?
155. You were there with Moses, weren't you?
No, bro. Everybody thinks I'm older. I'm only 22. This is what ministry does to you. It's like being a second lieutenant infantry unit.
Man. But no, it's that genuineness, and everyone's hurting. I mean, everyone that I know from my generation is hurting from something, and they just don't know how to process things. And I think it's simple as being there for them. I think that's one of the big things, being there for someone. And that's how people will understand, okay, this is different, and you're being genuine. Now, what I see on YouTube, now what I see these people gouging you for money or yelling at you in 5 different languages, it's genuineness. You actually care about me. Why do you care about me? Well, it's Jesus. Well, why does Jesus care about me? Well, because he formed you. He made you. He loves you. He knows everything about you. He designed everything about you because he loves you in that way. So it's things like that I think will reach this generation and any generation, honestly.
Amen. I agree. I agree. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that's the episode. We have more interviews coming up that will happen, and we'll still answer your Bible questions as always. You can send them in. We're gonna figure this out as we go. I've been praying about what direction this podcast is gonna go. I do want to answer Bible questions. I do want people to send them in, but I am seeing the importance of talking about things that are going on and interviews like this. So just send your Bible questions as you want. And then remember, as it always says, ready in the right, ready in the left. Are you ready for the Lord's return? Are you ready for the rapture of the church? Are you ready for what the Lord has in your life? All right. So have a great week. For all those who are in the horrible winter of the east side of the United States, we're praying for you. And don't be jealous of us here in Southern California. It's 85 degrees in February. 85 degrees. Joseph doesn't like it. For me, it's amazing, but it's a blessing from the Lord. I mean, here in Southern California, man, it drops down to like 42. We're like, this is freezing.
That's how it is when I'm walking out to go to work in the morning. See? It's like 37.
See, and we're like, oh, and someone from Wisconsin is like, you Nancy's. So, out there, they live in the continual tundra. But be blessed. Have a blessed week. We're praying for you. If you haven't been able to join us for any of the services, we go live online on Fridays and Sunday. Wednesday is Sean teaching. We don't go live then. And if you're in the local area, come join us. Come join us and hang out and get some food. And we always feed the military and their families, vets and first responders on Saturday from noon to 7. So if you're watching this, you're locally here and you're active duty, you've served in the military, come down. So we do 6 types of shakes, 3 types of sandwiches, no cost to you whatsoever. And just have a blessed week, and we look forward to seeing what the Lord does. Be blessed.
Cease fire! Unload! Anyhow.